Hetepu, blessings. Welcome to Kemetic Legacy Today, your weekly journal of ancient African, ancient Egyptian, ancient Kemetic history and spirituality. My name is Jabari Osaze, also known as Heru Jenin Ma'at Atenra.
And my name is Anika Daniels Osaze, also known as Nfurka Ma'at.
We have an incredible blessing here today. We are sitting with Dr. Edward Robinson, this incredible 91-year-old dynamo who has done everything. He's a doctor, he's a lawyer, he is a film producer, a music producer. If there's something you've thought about doing in your life, you need to speak to this man because he's already done it and he hasn't stopped yet. But before we get into Dr. Robinson, we also should let you know that we have an incredible songstress here today as well.
Yes, the beautiful DK Dyson will be performing 2 songs for us this afternoon. And I'd also just like to welcome our studio audience and to thank you for being here.
Back to Dr. Robinson. We really thought that we would do an interesting introduction of him, but this video does this better than we ever could. So please, watch this.
My beautiful kings and queens.
91-year-old Dr. Edward Robinson Jr., attorney, historian, author, and professor, headed the Philadelphia School District Committee on African and African American Studies for 4 years. He co-authored the guidebook, The World of Africans and Afro-Americans, the groundbreaking curriculum that led the way for the teaching of African American history in the public schools. He co-authored the seminal book, Journey of the Songhai People, which was published in 1970 and still popular today as part of the curriculum of several schools. He co-authored the book Twas the Night Before Kwanzaa and also produced the best-selling historical album Black Rhapsody, which was produced in 1987 and is still selling today. He was awarded the coveted Silver Medal of the Poor Richard's Club of Benjamin Franklin, which included among its recipients Sir Winston Churchill and President Charles de Gaulle. From his earliest life, he learned of his maternal family's Nigerian background of wealth and splendor. His great-great-great-grandfather in Benin City, Nigeria, was both a lawyer and a sculptor. His great-great-great-grandparents lived in a beautiful 3-story home of polished stone. He learned of his granddad's murder by English soldier thieves who stole his sculpture and gold. His widow, grandmother Nzinga, was put on board a ship in 1813 to be brought as a captive to America.
And this abolitionist ship, just luckily for me, captured the ship and towed it to Trenton, New Jersey. So therefore, my great-great-grandmother and her newborn baby, Diane, were welcomed by the white people of Trenton, New Jersey, and adopted. Each one of the 247 families were adopted by white abolitionists in New Jersey. And we were adopted by a white family named Stewart.
He learned all this from his great-grandmother, Nzinga's granddaughter, and her daughter, his grandmother.
So she told that story to Mary Diane Thomas, who I was living 2 doors from, who's my great-grandmother. And that's how I found out.
Then one day he went to see a motion picture called Tarzan of the Apes, and there he found out about the terrible showings of Africa and its people. He then understood how the lies in the pictures had an influence on the minds of African Americans.
So what they did was use drama, which is the sword that changes attitude. See, it's all attitudinal. It's all attitudinal. And drama is the sword that reaches into the subconscious, pierces that thick wall, and goes down into the subconscious and changes attitude. Drama.
In studying the effects of the transatlantic slave trade and its associated process of dehumanizing Africans and African culture in the eyes of the world, Dr. Robinson has developed a systematic solution to the racial problem.
And America suffers with what Dr. Ed Robinson Jr., a Philadelphia historian, authority on African and African American affairs, and father of African Genesis, calls the problem.
And the problem is that we and all the rest of the people in the society, the Asians, the whites, the Koreans, everybody, including black people, despised our Africanness, despise everything that originated below the Sahara Desert.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, I'm honored that you asked me to come.
That's wonderful.
Appreciate it.
That's wonderful.
Yes,
And we've seen some of the work that you've been doing over these years, and it seems to me that the first thing we should ask you is, how do you remain so consistent? Because it seems that so many people do their best work at some period, and then what they end up doing is simply trying to relive that work instead of doing more work.
Well, first I want to say something to the ladies in the audience. I want you ladies to understand that African women, and you're the genetic reproductions of our mother, were considered the most beautiful women on the planet for thousands of years by all of the civilized people of the world. The Greeks thought so much of your beauty that they named 2 star constellations after you, Andromeda and Cassiopeia. The two most beautiful star constellations that are in the heavens. They say that they have all of the beauty of the setting sun, hair which is alive, and a figure incomparable even today. So I don't want you to think that just because we went through 400 years of horror where they were saying you were ugly, that you believe that, because you're the most beautiful people. Well, you are imitated by everybody. So I want to say that before we get on to the discussion.
That's right, that's right.
That's right.
Incredible.
In answer to your question,
Yes.
and you thought that's because I'm old, I forgot the question.
His memory's better than mine.
It's an ongoing process.
Right.
One thing led to the other. And so when I did the video called The Shanghai Princess, I was really testing whether or not drama really worked, because I had found out that drama is the only thing that changes attitude, and attitude changes behavior.
Right.
So in 1990, I created a little video, almost animated, about a little Shanghai princess that was kidnapped by the Wicked Witch of the Mountain, and she was rescued by her lover, who was a medical student at Sankore University. Now, but all during the film, they saw the beautiful homes our mothers and fathers lived in West Africa. They saw the beautiful buildings, the universities. So all of this was subliminal. The impact on children was so great that I said, we've got to do a major motion picture. And that's what we are doing now. We're producing a major motion picture called Whispers of the Medallion. So it's an ongoing process. That's
right.
the reason.
That's right. So many people get sidetracked. It seems like you don't get sidetracked, though. You're focused on
Well,
work
there's
for your people.
a reason for that. And the reason is called the territorial imperative. I hate to ask this question because it's embarrassing. How many of you who are African Americans, how many of you know the African city and country from which your ancestors were born? Except my daughter.
Not one hand went up.
Not one hand went up. I asked this question of 500 whites. How many of you know the city and country? I was teaching at a university, a white university, just outside Philadelphia. Every hand went up. They knew not only the country from which they came, not only the city, but the borough from which their ancestors came. Now, how come they know and none of you know? Here's the reason, and here's the reason why I am different. The reason is that these South Carolina and North Carolina plantation owners went to Germany to find out how they could control our fathers and mothers on the plantation, because they were getting out of hand. They were burning the houses down. They were killing white folks. They were doing everything negative about being in captivity. They were never slaves. They were prisoners of war, the War of 1591. So what happened was they sought the advice of an expert in Songhai history. Now, his name was Johann Blumenbach, and he was the head of the Department of History at the University of Göttingen in Germany. And how many of you know this? I know you was taught this in college and everything, all you college folks. Well, when they sought his advice,
Right.
they said, do they know that they're the Songhai people? So the plantation owners who traveled over there to seek his advice said, well, of course they know that they come from the great Songhai Empire. Well, that's your problem. You can't let them know that they came from greatness, from grandeur, from beauty, from sophistication. You'll never be able to control them. So the plantation owner said, well, how can we prevent it? I mean, the mothers and the fathers would tell the children, say, you came from Timbuktu and you came from the city of Janneh and that's where we were born. And then the Europeans came over and invaded us in 1591 and marched us to the seas, to the waiting ship. Said, man, you can't allow them to teach that to their children. They said, well, how are you going to stop it? Here's how you do it. Here's why you don't know where you're from. Blumenbach said, what you do, as soon as a boatload arrives, take the babies out the mama's arms. Send the parents to a distant plantation and work them to death and raise the children to believe that they came from a jungle. They won't know the difference.
That's right.
How would they know?
That's right.
Their parents are gone. Yeah, now, here's the difference between me and you. When they captured my grandmother, I'm not going through, you heard the beginning of the story. My grandfather was a lawyer and a sculptor in Benin City, Nigeria. And the English kept on coming over stealing his sculpture.
Wow.
Some of his sculpture ended up at the art museum in West Philadelphia, where they came to show it off because it was world-class sculpture.
So have you been able to see this sculpture?
Oh, sure.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got some in the book.
Incredible.
But anyhow, what happened was his wife hassled him and said, don't fight the English when they come over, just let them have the sculpture. I'm pregnant, and they'll kill you. Then I'll be a widow, and they'll put me on board ship and take me over there where they're taking all the rest of those prisoners of war. But my grandfather, whose name was Mwale, said, I'm fighting them. I'm not going to let them steal my sculpture anymore. And he gathered some of his fellow sculptors, and they fought the English when they came over to steal. They always stealing something. And they killed him, killed my grandfather, and put his wife, his pregnant wife, my great-great-great-grandmother on board the ship. And the ship was named Jesus, by the way. That's deep. I've been angry ever since. Well, at Jesus, I mean, not at Jesus, but and on the way over, the baby was born.
Wow.
All right, name of Diane. She named Diane. Now, it was bound for South Carolina. How many of your ancestors came from South Carolina? Raise your hand.
Oh, boy.
A whole bunch of folks. They were bound for South Carolina. But in 1808, this was 1813, in 1808, a law was passed by Congress forbidding more importations of the Songhai people. We're the Songhai people.
Right.
See, Blumenbach said, don't allow them to even learn that they came from the Songhai Empire.
Right. We're going to try to breed them here on this continent
That's
rather
right.
than continuing the cultural memory.
They don't even let them learn the name Songhai. Because then they'll start investigating. Then take away their ability to read and write, pass laws against them learning to read and write. Then they can't learn anything about the Songhai Empire. They passed a law, 200 years, a law not allowing blacks to learn to read and write. Well, anyhow, in 1808, this law was passed forbidding any more importations of Shanghai people. Now, nobody paid any attention to that law at all except one little group called abolitionists. Now, the abolitionists put their money together and they bought a ship. And they patrolled the seas looking for prisoner of war ships, which you all were trained to say slave ships. They weren't no slave ships, they were prisoner of war ships.
Very important distinction.
Very important distinction.
That's right.
And when we teach our children, they were never slaves.
That's
they
right.
were children, descendants of prisoners of war. Like McLean, he
That's
was a
right.
prisoner of war.
That's right.
He wasn't a slave.
That's right.
He got captured by the enemy.
That's right.
On the way, this abolitionist ship captured the ship that my great-great-grandmother was on. So instead of this baby being taken from her arms in South Carolina, the ship was towed to Trenton, New Jersey. And of course, Nzinga, who was the baby's mother, my great-great-great-grandmother, taught the baby that her father was a world-class sculptor, that her father was a lawyer, that he went to world-class universities. So I was trained from babyhood, you know, that we've got to right this wrong.
That's right. That's right.
So I was, you know, it's your job because you were spared by just an act of God, an act of the ancestors. To not let the baby being taken from Nzinga's arms, and the baby grew up, and she had a child. Her name was Mary Diane Thomas, and she was my great-grandmother, and she helped raise me.
Wow.
And so she told me the story when I was a kid, you see. So that's how I know
Wow.
where we're from.
Wow.
That's right.
Well, let me ask you,
Yeah.
knowing that the school systems don't necessarily have our children's best interest at heart, how are you able to get your curriculum that you developed into the Philadelphia school system?
I think the ancestors must have interceded for us because no other city, no other school district in the country has an infused African textbooks for the children. None. But let me explain what that means. Let me say. In Philadelphia, a publisher would provide school books. Now, you know they're white folks' books. They're about 400 pages thick. And I got the superintendent of school to allow me to take these 17 books from kindergarten to 8th grade in history, and grade 4th grade to 8th grade in science and math. And I went through every page of the book and inserted the African thing that was relevant to that chapter in each chapter, in all 18 books, 400 pages each. Because I did that when I was a kid, I was a youngster. I was only 85 then. So it was passed by the school district of Philadelphia. Now, Greensboro, North Carolina wants me to do it for them. So, you know, the reason why other people, why other cities don't have it, because black people are not moved to want to have African history infused because they're brainwashed that it was jungle. They're the kids that grew up from that little baby that was taken from the mama's arms
That's
and
right.
raised to believe that she
That's
came
right.
from a jungle.
That's
So
right.
you don't have the same urge and spirit and dynamo to push your school district to have it.
They don't even know what to ask
They don't
because
even
they
know
don't
what to
realize
ask.
that something is missing.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Wow.
Don't even know.
Well, let me ask you, at the ripe young age of 91,
Yeah.
you decided to create another organization called the African Genesis Media Group. And you put a charge out there that you want 100,000 people of like minds to help deal with the
No, I don't want to do
disenchantment of-
anything. Just register.
Just register.
Just register. We'll take it from there.
Okay.
Because if I go before somebody who's got 50 million, a black person, white person, I don't care who they are,
Right.
and say, look, I have 100,000 emails of people who will support this motion picture. Now they're going to see green to begin with 100,000. This picture is going to make Avatar look like Sunday school. It really will, because I tell you what it's about. Can I tell them what it's about?
Please tell them what it's about. Please.
Why did you ask me that? You know how bashful I am.
She's throwing you the slow pitches.
I know, right?
Just knock it out the park.
It's the story. I was figuring out, how can I get him back to 1468? Well, anyhow, it's called The Medallion, Whispers of the Medallion. And it's a story of a handsome young man who didn't like no dark-skinned girls. He made it very clear. He was going to a white school. And anyhow, he was an O.J. Simpson. He was like O.J. you know what I'm talking about?
Unfortunately, you can put a lot of, there are a lot of other names you could use too.
No, he's like Tiger Woods.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah,
I knew he was going to say that.
He can't get a break.
I mean, he didn't even like white. He just like blondes. Blonde white. He don't. That's a white girl. Blonde. And he was a football star. Well, his uncle had been in Africa and had brought him back a medallion. Now he didn't know it. The uncle didn't know it, that this medallion had been made 6,000 years ago by the Shanghai ancestors who had put some magical ingredients into this medallion, but could only evidence itself if it were worn by a descendant of Sunni Ali Bir. Well, this brother, who liked these blondes, I named him Marcus. I have a grandson named Marcus. I named him Marcus. Now, Marcus isn't like that at all, because his wife is beautiful. She's beautiful, if you know what I'm talking about. And Marcus wore this medallion around his neck, and he kept hearing trumpets. And he asked his teammate, said, "You hear those trumpets?" The teammate said, What trumpets?
That's right.
What trumpets? He said, "Man, you must be out your mind." No, he said, "I hear trumpets." No. Well, every time he got the ball, he was untouchable. When he'd run down the field, guys would be bouncing off of him right and left. Couldn't tackle him. He said, maybe there's something in this medallion. Well, there was a professor at this university who had studied Shanghai history. And he said, maybe this has been sent down to you, a descendant of Sunni Ali Bir. Now you say, well, who's Sunni Ali Bir? Sunni Ali Bir was the last great emperor of the Shanghai Empire. Now the Shanghai Empire was larger than all of Europe. That's where we came from. Nigeria was part of the Shanghai Empire.
That's right.
It was considered the most advanced empire in history. That's where we're from. It's made up of about 10 West African states today. This particular day, he was lectured to by this great historian of Shanghai history, Dr. Roulet. Dr. Roulet said, you know, there's a legend that if a descendant of Sunni Ali Bir, who was the last great emperor, goes back in time to his coronation, he might be able to reverse the 400 years that your people have suffered.
So it would be as if it never occurred.
Like it never occurred. Reverse history. So Marcus said, man, that's impossible. That's impossible. I mean, let's not even mess with that. He said, look, you might be the one. Well, it's a lot of other little stuff in there. Oh, it's an exciting story. Anyhow, one night he went to sleep, and he had heard the trumpets, and he suddenly awakened, and there at the foot of his bed stood this gorgeous lady. And she says, come with me across the sea, back to where you belong. Come with me. And he raised his hand and took her by the hand and they floated down the corridor of time. They floated back during the period of the Civil Rights Movement, and they looked down and, I have a dream that one day, and all the whole things, all the way back. And he found himself in 1468 in this gorgeous palace. He's standing outside the court, and people bowing and scraping, and he looked down, and his clothes were those of royalty. And he had gotten back. Ramallah, who was the prophet of that period, came to him and put the medallion around his neck and said, if you wear this medallion for 30 days without taking it off, you can reverse all of history, and your people will not have to go through that 400 years of hell that they've gone through. Well, the girl who took him back was engaged to a man, and he fell in love with this girl, even though she was very richly pigmented. He fell in love with Tuera. Her name was Tuera, the girl who brought him back, and who was he's I can't live without that. I must say. She said, but you're the emperor. I'm just an ordinary person. I was just sent back by the ancestors to bring you, to come get you. I'm just a messenger. And anyway, I'm engaged. And the only way that I can break the engagement is if you will duel Ophir. Now, Ophir was the guy she was in love with, or he was in love with her. And the duel, well, it's a heck of a story, if I must say so. But they dueled, and during the duel, he vanquished Ophir. And Ophir had given him a terrible slice with a sword during the duel. So Ophir got killed. So Ophir's out the way. Ophir's gone. Bye, he's gone. So they were engaged, and the marriage date was set. And
he's still wearing this medallion for the
he's
30
wearing
days.
all the 30 days. Only got 2 more days to go.
Right.
Well, his buddies took him on a trip, like the day before the wedding trip.
Right.
And during the trip, it was a lion hunt. And during the trip, he got separated from this party. Well, it was hot, and this wound that he had on his neck was hurting. And the chain of the medallion was cutting into the wound. And he looked around, there was nobody around, and he saw a stream nearby. He was hot and sweating. He said, well, I don't see anybody around. I'm going to take this off of my wound and dip
and clean the wound.
And while he was doing that, the Tuareg people, well, see, it's the whole thing about the Tuaregs.
That's right.
And they came and they stole the medallion.
So now he has to go and find the medallion.
No, they killed him.
Wow.
And as he lay dying, the screams of Tuera mingled with the screams of the lady back home, and he was transported back to here and now, this present. So it's a story.
What a story.
It's a storyline.
Wow.
For Whispers of the Medallion. And so that we need these 100,000 emails so that when I go before Oprah, go before a Russell Simmons, I'll go before Russell, look, I'm not asking you to believe in Black history. All I'm saying is, here's 100,000 people.
Here's the market. That's right.
Here's the market.
That's right.
Right here.
That's right.
That's what that's for.
That's right. We've already done your work.
That will trigger not only that motion picture, but will trigger the other 4. I have 4 scripts already written that I wrote when I was younger, like 88.
A mere teenager. A mere teenager.
Just a kid.
I think one of the reasons why this movie is so intriguing to me is we've seen so many fictional, historical movies based in medieval Europe.
That's all.
And it's gotten to a point where there's sort of a genre of movie.
That's right.
All they simply do
is a brand new genre.
Exactly. And so we don't see classical Africa. We never see
classical Africa.
That's right.
The beauties and the grandeur of our mothers and fathers. Now, during the 30s, the United States government set up motion pictures to make everybody hate communism. They only had 7
right.
motion pictures to make everybody despise communism.
That's right.
Now that's how powerful the motion
That's
pictures
right.
was. Now, but listen. But in 1941, Pearl Harbor happened. So Hitler was the loose. The Japanese was loose. So therefore, the United States government said, we got to team up with Russia, and we've made them hate Russia. Because Russia's a communist country.
That's right.
So let's have 7 more motion pictures to make them love Russia. So they spewed, they had all kinds of money.
That's right.
So they had all these 7 motion pictures. And I fell in love with Russia. In fact, I was so much in love with Russia, I volunteered to fight in 1942. I was in the army.
That's right.
Yeah. Then we won.
Right.
In 1945, the United States won, along with the Allies. Now the federal government said, now let's get 7 more motion pictures and make them hate Russia again. That's how gullible
That's right.
the American mind is.
That's right.
So my little motion pictures, our motion pictures will make them love Africa.
That's right.
You
That's
watch.
right.
That's what's going to happen.
In an earlier episode, I mentioned.
Not only did those 7 motion pictures make them love, hate Russia again,
Right.
but it issued in the Cold War and the Berlin Wall, Berlin Wall. Yeah.
This country spent
Just from
trillions
seven-
of dollars,
seven
trillions
motion
of dollars,
pictures.
based on their understanding of the world, based on this popular media.
Exactly.
Amazing.
That's what motion pictures can do.
That's
to
right.
Change your attitude.
That's right.
There's no way I can sit up here and make and talk you into loving. It has to be drama. Only drama can change attitude. What was the negativity in Color Purple? What did it do negatively? Can anybody tell me?
Just the image of the black male.
The image of that the darker the man, the worse he was.
That's right.
That's what Color
That's
Purple
right.
was.
That's right.
The only ones that raped their own daughters were black men. The light-skinned men were the most. That was Sugar's boyfriend. He was the most polite and very civil.
That's right.
And
That's
courteous.
right.
It reinforced the negativity of black. And I don't think Steven Spielberg knew what he was doing. I think he's just brainwashed. Like most black people are brainwashed.
That's right. That's right.
We could go on. So we're asking you to submit, and here's how you can do it. If you have a pencil and paper, and we want to give you the
Website.
website. And this gentleman here is the one who's gathering the 100,000.
Yes, I am. I am. It's interesting to ask questions about a project that I'm also involved in as well.
Yeah.
And so, but that's been
And
great
it's very
too.
simple. It's www.
Through the magic of television, we'll put it in. So I know some people are writing it
AGMG.com. One.
down. AGMG1.com.
AGM1.
Yes.
One.
right.
I left that one out once before. Man, I missed 500 people.
Oh, and the AGMG stands for the African Genesis
African
Media
Genesis
Group.
Media Group.
That's right.
One.
That's right.
The number one.
Number one.
The number one.
The number one.
And of course, the folks at home
.com.
will see that on
That's
the
it.
screen as well.
And when you bring it up, there's a place for you to sign in, put your email in. Yeah, I'm one.
That's right.
I'm for this. I'm
That's
down
right.
with this.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Well, we have to say that we
Well, I
truly
appreciate
enjoyed
you
having
listening to me. You know, I could go on like this for hours. But I appreciate you giving me the courtesy of listening to me.
We really are appreciative of you coming
Yeah.
all the way from Philadelphia
Definitely.
to our studios to
Yeah.
talk to us, and we really would love to be able to follow more of the work, all the process of the creation of this motion picture,
Oh, it's
so
gonna be
that
something.
we are able to understand that we can make an impact in the
Oh,
lives of
yeah.
our children. Some
Oh,
people
yeah.
feel sort of fatalistic and think that it's
Yeah.
already over, but we can make an impact once we begin to affect the way that they view themselves, the way they understand who they are and what their task has to be.
And now the soulful sounds of the beautiful and talented Sister D.K. Dyson.
Uncle Jocelyn.
Sister DK, that was so beautiful.
Thank you.
First, let me start off by introducing you by your full name. This is Sister DK Dyson Nfratum Ma'at Heteru.
Heteru, yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Let me start by asking you, what was the inspiration for your song, and where do you get your inspiration for all of your music?
From the elements.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my music is done with water in the bathroom, in the tub. When I'm outside in nature, sitting on the ground, I literally just sit on the ground because Mother Earth has so much to say.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to the birds, and sometimes I listen to people fussing, on train or gossip, and it has a certain kind of
a rhythm.
So,
it has a rhythm to it.
Yeah, sound.
Right.
So I'll take some of that and put it inside of my music.
Wow. Wow. I know that with all the other questions we can ask you, I know that my Anika is going to know what question I'm going to ask you, because I watch Our World with Black Enterprise every week. Mm-hmm. And I find that the theme song is kind of resonating in my psyche somehow. So I'm singing it around the house all week long. And so it wasn't until today that Anika told me that that is actually your song.
Yes.
Incredible.
Yes. It's a composition that came, actually I took another piece of a song, and that was instrumental.
Right.
And I just expanded it.
Wow.
And I enunciated the words so it would be our world.
Right.
Normally I'd sing our world, but for the show, our world.
Right.
So that would come out. I'm glad you look at that.
I watch the show every Sunday, and so clearly I've already admired your work for years, but I did not know that that was your work.
Thank you.
And so you've been pretty active out there.
Yes, I have.
Right.
I've had some years that are slow, like all
Right.
artists.
Right.
But right now, things are really moving beautifully. I thank Inter
Mhm.
with all my heart.
Wonderful.
So what's your daily routine? What do you normally work on?
Thank you for asking me that. I do a sacred fire ceremony in the mornings right before sunrise. I try to get it right on sunrise, and it's a net insert inter ceremony of flame divine. And I spent a whole year in seclusion learning the Kemetic way. I learned the Hindu Sanskrit way first.
Right.
And then one day I'm doing it, and Spirit said, "Girl, you better go back to your roots." And I said, "Ooh." So I stopped singing the Sanskrit and went into Twa Netu Enu Hetba, Twa Netu, Reshi, Kemai, Mekti, all the directions.
Wow.
And it flowed off my tongue in such a way
Right.
that I felt so inspired that I now have a full moon for women, for men, closing ceremony, the lotus, how to become a lotus flower, how to become pure every day, and chant for immortality. So it's a beautiful thing, and it's evolving.
And you do that every day, or are these
Every day
things
I
that
try
you've created?
I try to every day. Yes.
Right. And so where do we get, how do people, I know that our studio audience and our audience at home is asking, how do you get your hands on these pieces of work
Oh
that
boy,
you do?
I'm still recording that piece. I brought 3 sisters through and a young man.
Yes.
And I gave them preliminary CDs, so I'm still working on it.
Right.
I'll let you know when it's available.
Wonderful. Wow.
Now, how were you welcomed into this Kemetic legacy?
Oh my, I used to have dreams of being a priestess when I was like 2 and 3 years old. And it was very much like Heru here, but more like sitting. And my mother tells me I used to sleep like this when I was a child. And I feel scepters very easy. I make scepters
Right.
with copper, and I put crystals inside the copper, and I wrap wire around it.
Wow.
And buckskin. So these kind of things came very easy to me. And then when I stepped into this lifetime, I met Queen Afua and Samaj and different communities that took me in, and then taught me and raised me and hugged me and grew me up.
Right.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
So now, what is this next piece that you'll be doing for us?
This next piece is a brand new, hot off the press to Jehuti.
Oh, okay.
Spirit told me to do 9 Neteru, 9 gods and goddesses to our legacy. I'm on 4.
Wow.
And Jehuti will be 5.
Beautiful.
So this next one that I do is a Hesi, or a chant. And if you don't listen to this while you're driving, because it really will
She's
really
cautioning the
relax
audience.
you.
She's
Yes.
cautioning.
It will
Right.
relax you.
You'll feel really relaxed.
Yes.
Right.
Or work heavy machinery.
Right.
All those disclaimers on the
That's
back
right.
of pill boxes.
That's right.
That's what we do here. But it will, Jehuti is, of course, the divine Neteru for speech.
That's
and
right.
the measure of time.
And wisdom.
And it has taken me a long time
That's
to
right.
finish this particular one because Jehuti is exacting.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly.
So we love to hear it. All
All
right.
right, but before we do, may I give you this ring?
Oh. My
I'm a medicine woman.
Okay.
And one of the medicine ways that I perform my duties is by reading animals, what animals say to us. And on this ring are about 8 African animals
Wow.
in gold.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I'm honored to be a part of this lifetime with you,
Wow.
to walk in this walk with you.
That is
And
beautiful.
with our beautiful audience here. So
Absolutely
you.
beautiful.
I admire you. I love you. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Okay.
Wow. Now, how does she become a guest on our show
And give us a
gifts?
gift.
You know what I mean?
Well, she is our gift. So at this point, I'd like to bring you back up to
Okay.
sing your next piece.
I'd love to.
Again, the beautiful Sister D.K. Dyson. Can we have our
Jehuti is the divine recorder of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Or whatever is, was and will be. His wisdom is that knowledge will be your strength. Says knowledge will be your strength. Faith will be your sword, and silence your impenetrable arm. Tell you about Jehuti, Uncle Jocelyn, Uncle Jocelyn, Jehuti, Jehuti. I am Jehuti, Jehuti is me, Jehuti is you, Jehuti, oh Lord. divine speech, immeasurable through time. Well, can you feel it? Yeah, feel the peace. Feel the peace of the sun right at your back, right at your front, right above, right below. As it is above, what? So it is below. Uncle Johnson, have always been, all right now and ever shall be. Whoa, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Join me now, yes. Uncle Jocelyn.
That was absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now I have to talk to you, but now I'm feeling all mellow.
I know.
So I have to
I feel like I should meditate now.
Bring back the Herakulti energy. So talk to us about what you're doing now, because I know that I've seen you everywhere. Mm-hmm. And you perform with some of my favorite folks, like Living Color, which is one of my favorite
my rock
bands.
and roll days.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So, but tell us what are you up to now? How do people get a hold of your incredible work, that sort of thing?
Okay, right now you can get a hold of me through MySpace.
Right.
Contact me through there and Facebook.
Right.
And you can listen to some music on the MySpace page.
Right.
Facebook, I'm still developing the music for it.
Right.
I'm also with Don Byron and the new Jazz Gospel Quintet.
Wow.
I'm all through Europe in March, and we're back here in April, 4 nights at the Jazz Standard.
Wonderful.
Which is a wonderful club. It's beautiful for jazz. And then I'm in Brazil, Sao Paulo,
Wow.
for a festival. And then I do my solo CD. I want to do half of it in Brazil, in Bahia. So it's a journey as a woman, a brave woman. I'm going as a brave woman. Not knowing too many people, but my spirit has told me to go there and do my music.
Incredible.
So,
Wonderful.
Wow, that is wonderful. And it's great to hear that folks who have an eye towards our ancestors are still able to work. Because I think a lot of folks are a little afraid sometimes
but
that
the ancestors are supporting us.
That's right.
Yes.
You know, and there's support on every inch of this planet, even in places where you think harm will do you. You call on your ancestors, and you will be surprised at the strength that flows through you.
Incredible.
And as a medicine woman, what other projects are you working on in the future?
I'm very involved with my brothers and sisters of Lakota Nation out in South Dakota. And right now, along with Haiti, they are suffering amazingly so. Freezing temperatures, no heat, no hot water. And I'm taking up collections for them as well, so that they can get some heaters, and things that they need to survive. Our first people, you know, on this side of the planet.
Right. Wow, wonderful.
Well, I'd like to thank you so much for sharing you with us.
You're welcome.
I feel like you've opened your soul and let us in, and it just feels so good.
I'm so honored to be here.
And hopefully we can have you on our show again in the future.
I would love to, absolutely love to.
As soon as you're back.
Yes.
we're going to be begging for you to be back.
All right. All
Okay.
right. An honor. Thank you all so much.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you
The
to our
styling of DK Dyson.
on Comedic Legacy today.